What's going on, dudes? Nick here, or RJ Gaming, and welcome back to episode number 2 of How to Code. Today, guys, we're going to be expanding on our first plugin, and you guys have requested something that's actually kind of cool. I haven't done something like this in quite a while. I used to do a lot of stuff with mobs and stuff like that, but I haven't really done a ton of that lately, so I'm kind of excited to be able to do this. So, if you guys don't remember, in the last episode, we created this Donny Egg plugin, which basically all it did is when somebody left-clicked the air or left-clicked a block and their name was, in this case, RJ Minecraft, and they were sneaking, it would create an egg and play the chicken sound. So it would spawn an egg in the world and it would play the chicken sound, and it was originally designed to make Donny lay an egg every time he shifts and clicks. So I think originally they said like every time he shifts, but then we'd have to get into timers and other stuff like that. So instead of working on that and making that any more beautiful than it already is, we're actually going to change this to do something a little special, and it could easily be expanded. We're probably not going to do that in this video, but I will show you guys the basics of it. So what this plugin is going to do today is we're going to make this plugin have a little baby chicken. And it's going to take that little chicken and it's going to make that chicken follow you around wherever you go on the server. And when you log off, it's going to disappear. And when you log in, it's going to reappear. So we're going to put that on one of our servers and see how long it takes Donny to notice that the chicken happens to just like randomly spawn every time he logs in. And don't tell him I'm doing this, guys, because I want to see his reaction when he finds the little chicken. He'll be like going to catch a hacker and all of a sudden he'll be like, bloop, chicken's there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our existing plugin and we're going to copy everything out of it because it's really just the one class in there, and we're going to make a new plugin just in case you guys can't remember how that was done. So we're going to right click over here and we're going to go to new project and go underneath Maven and click on Maven project. Next, uncheck create simple workspace. You can use your default workspace location if you want, or you could specify somewhere else to save it. And we're going to do com.rjminecraft rjminecraft dot, and we'll call this one how about we call this tutorial, and we're just gonna call this tutorial. And it's going to be version 1, and we don't need the name or anything like that. So this is going to be our tutorial project, and I mean, the Donny Egg thing was a tutorial as well, but I kind of want to create something that we can expand upon. Instead of having to create a new plugin every single time we want to do something, I'm going to show you a pretty cool way to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy everything out of here. So I'm going to select everything in the main file from the Donny Egg. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And what I'm going to do is open up the tutorial plugin here, and I'm going to create a new package, and I'm going to call this one main. And inside of main, I'm also going to create a class called main and paste that in. So there we go. Package Donny Egg. Actually, we got to keep that. We got to change it to package main. Package main. There we go. So package main, we have to relink our bucket and spigot resources in here. So we right click on the project, Java build path, and we have to add an external jar. And right now I'm just going to use spigot 1.12 because I think that should cover everything that we did in the last one. And there we are. So we have no more errors. So as you can see, we created our new project. We right clicked, went to the Java build path, and added our spigot jar so it knows all about the spigot stuff, has access to it all. And now we have the exact same plugin, except instead of called Donny Egg, it is now called Tutorial. So what I want to do here is I want to kind of comment out the old code here. So what I'm going to do is, since I don't really want to use this right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put I'm going to put an if statement around here. I'm just going to put if false, and it's going to yell at me about the code inside here is not going to be able to get executed. The reason it's yellow is because it's telling you like, hey, it's impossible for this code to ever be accessed. And honestly, we don't really care too much about that. For now, we're just going to suppress the warnings on that. Eventually, we'll come back here once we get our logging class inside here, because then it'll also have our configuration management class as well. But for now, we're just going to suppress that. So if we want to spawn a mob when someone logs in, we're going to have to capture like the login event. Because Spigot, if you guys don't remember, is based on events. So when someone logs in, that's a login event. When they move, that's a move event. When they click something, that's a click event. Like, there's a lot of different events that happen in Minecraft, and depending on what you're trying to do, you just have to figure out what event it is that you want to work with. So the one that we want to work with here is on the player join event. So we're going to do @event handler, and we're going to do public static void, and we're going to name this on player join. Now, the name of this really doesn't matter all too much. I mean, you probably should keep it. You should probably keep it a little bit close to what it's actually representing, just for maintainability. But inside here, we're gonna put I think it's player join event, and if we hold Control and hit space, then it should pop up with the auto suggest to import it, or it should automatically import it, and it did. Player join event, and we're going to call that O event. So now when the player joins, it is going to say, okay, what are we tracking here? Or what do we want to do? So here's the join event. What are we trying to do here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if, actually I'm just going to copy this line here. It saves so much time to copy and paste stuff. So we've got the player object there. If oPlayer.getName dot equals ignore case, and we're just gonna put RGA Minecraft, because I need to be able to test this on myself. Donnie's not on at the moment, so I'll change it to his name later on, but for now, to be able to test it, we need to make it someone we have access to, which is currently myself. So what we have now is when the player joins, we have an event that gets fired, and we're going to handle that here in a second. But also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to change join to quit, and I'm going to change this to quit, and then Control space, and it loads that in. And now we have the quit event, because we don't want to spawn a chicken every time they log in, or else it'll leave the old chickens behind. So what we want to do is make sure that when they leave, we're going to get rid of the chicken that we created in the first place. So, okay, so now that we've got the join and the quit events handled, we have to make them do something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create ourselves our chicken that we're going to manage. So down here, I'm going to create a chicken. I'm just going to call it oChicken, and I'm going to set it equal to null. Null, if you guys don't know, and actually I should probably do static. Doesn't necessarily have to be public, but it doesn't really hurt that much. Anyways, Control space, load in the chicken, so now you can see it imported the chicken up there. And we have our null chicken. Null basically means nothing. So right now, our chicken is nothing, because it hasn't been created yet. So what we want to do is we want to create our chicken. And in order to do that, we need to set it equal to an instance of a chicken. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a call here on the join event. So when the player joins, we're going to do a cast to chicken, and we're going to do oPlayer dot get world dot spawn entity, and we're going to do chicken. Control space to fill that in, and location is oPlayer.getLocation. And I just realized I have these backwards. It's supposed to be location and then the type of entity. So now if we put chicken there in Control space, it's entity type.chicken. And basically what's going to happen is when the player joins, it's going to get their location, it's going to get their world, and it's going to spawn an entity, because everything inside Minecraft is basically either a block or an entity. And we've got the entity type of a chicken, and the location that it's going to spawn is this location of the player. So now what else we want to do is we want to take the chicken and we want to do some fun stuff to it. So we're going to do oChicken dot set custom name, and we're going to do chat color dot, let's just do gold. I like gold. It kind of looks nice. So we're going to do chat color dot gold, and we're going to call it Donnie's baby chicken. And we're also going to oChicken dot set baby, and that way the chicken will always be a baby. And we're going to set its custom name to Donnie's baby chicken. And what else we want to do is we want to set the oChicken dot age lock, I believe is what it's called, age lock, set age lock, and we want to set this to true. So basically what this is going to do, the set age lock, that doesn't have any reference there. So basically what that does is it locks in the current age of the animal and says this animal shouldn't change. Now I say shouldn't because everything in Minecraft can sometimes have issues and cause problems for us. But anyways, what's going to happen here is it's going to spawn a baby chicken. It's going to make sure it stays a baby, and its name is going to be Donnie's baby chicken. Now what we need to do is clean this up and get rid of that chicken when the player leaves. So what we need to do is first check to see if the chicken is not equal to null. Because if it's equal to null, then that means Donnie never logged in and there is no chicken. So that means we don't have to clean it up. But if it is not null, so meaning there is a chicken, what we need to do is oChicken dot remove, and that will remove it from the world completely. And we also need to do oChicken equals null. So we set it back to null. Now there's one more thing I want to do up here, and we're going to do oChicken dot set custom name visible true. That's not actually the one I was looking for. But I want to also do set oChicken dot set, I think it's remove when far away. There it is. False. So basically what happens with the set remove when far away false, what that's saying is, like, normally if it's a regular mob, it's going to despawn when that chunk unloads, which in our scenario could be one of two things. It means that, you know, Donnie could teleport to some other place in the world and the chicken's in a different spot and that chunk unloads, and then technically that chicken would normally despawn, which would be an issue for us. So the other type of event is if he goes into GMSP. If you guys haven't had a lot of familiarity with GMSP, if you have mobs around you and you're the only player on the server and you go into GMSP, all the mobs that can despawn will just disappear. So that's the other time that that could happen. And he does go into GMSP quite a bit. And what we're also going to want to do is, I've just realized we want to oChicken dot set max health. And we're going to set this, let's just set it high. Let's just say set max health. Let's just do 1,000. And then oChicken dot set health. And we're going to do oChicken dot get max health. There we go. I mean, it's a safe way of doing that. There's also deprecations on here. I'm not even sure if there's a different way to set the health on these guys, but honestly, I don't really care. So we're just gonna wrap this in a suppress warnings as well. We're gonna suppress the deprecations because I really don't care. I mean, it will set its max health. There's, like I said, there's probably something new that replaces it, but honestly, I've used that for so long now, it works. I don't really care. What else we need to do is we need to put this same code. We're going to copy this whole section here where we remove the chicken, and we're also going to put it inside of our on disable event. And the reason we're doing that is, let's say the server restarts before Donnie logs off. Well, what's probably going to happen is that chicken would normally not get cleaned up. Since he hasn't officially left the game, it will just kind of be there forever. And we don't want a super mega chicken with 1,000 HP kind of just randomly floating around the world, do we? So on the disable, we're going to remove that chicken. So from a very high level overview right now, what we've got going on is when a player joins, it's going to say is their name RJ Minecraft? And if they are, it is going to spawn a chicken, and that chicken's name is going to be Gold, Donnie's baby chicken, and it's going to be a baby. It's always going to be a baby. Its custom name will be visible. It will not despawn when you're far away, and its max health is 1,000, and its current health is 1,000. Now, you could damage this thing, you know, pretty evenly over time and kill it. You give yourself strength or sharpness 1,000 or something like that, and you could kill this thing pretty easily. But for the average player, it'll be pretty hard. And also, we have the on-quit event, where it cleans up the code, as well as the on-disable. So the on-disable and on-quit will both clean up our chicken before the server restarts. Unless it's a hard crash, in which case none of that will happen, but hopefully we don't run into that. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we need to create a timer, because we need something that's going to keep this chicken within range of Donnie. So what we're going to want to do is periodically tell that chicken, like, hey, if you're too far from Donnie, teleport to him, and if you're not too far, then start walking towards him. And it's pretty easy to do that, but the thing is, we need something that constantly runs to say, okay, should we do this? Should we do this? Should we do this? And for me, what I usually do is I will use a timer. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a timer, and we're going to handle that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a public static bucket task, and we're going to call this 1 second timer. You know, we'll even call it TMR 1 second timer, just because like TMR will tell us that, hey, it's a timer, and control space after bucket task to properly import the bucket task. Now what we need to do is we also need to instantiate this. So on the enable, what we need to do is, actually I could probably do it after this, and we're going to do TMR, and we're going to do timer 1 second task equals perform 1 second timer actions. And we also need to now create a routine called public static bucket task, and we're going to call it perform 1 second timer actions. So basically what we have now is on enable, it's going to set the 1 second timer equal to perform 1 second timer actions. And you can see now that we have our perform 1 second timer actions down here, it is highlighted in red, and it's missing the return type bucket task. So obviously we have to return a bucket task. So what we're going to do is return, and we're going to do bucket. So we have to import bucket and .get server .get scheduler run task timer. And there's the async timer and the regular timer. I'm not going to get into asynchronous and synchronous timers and stuff right now. That's going to be probably future videos. It's a little more complicated than I want to get into with you guys right now. So we're just going to pick that timer. The last two here, the long, are like how many ticks in between runs and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 20L, and over here we're going to put 20L. And the reason we're doing 20 is because Minecraft servers, if they're running perfectly, should have 20 TPS, meaning ticks per second. So it updates 20 times per second. So telling it to wait 20 means wait 20 ticks and then run this, and then wait 20 ticks and then run this, and it'll do that every 20 ticks. Now if your server's lagging really bad, 20 ticks could actually be like 2, 3, 4 seconds, but you can't really code for stuff like that. Like, you don't want to worry about things like that. Just assume your plugins are going to work. And I mean, there are ways around it, but again, we're not going to get into that now. And also, this cannot be static. I just realized that, because the first argument is the plugin. So we need to put this. And if you tried using this inside of a static method, it's going to give you errors. And we need a semicolon after this. And now what we need to do is we need to create our little we need to create a new runnable, because this is the thing that's actually going to run. And we need to do the little curly brackets there. And inside here, we're going to do public void run. And I think that should be good. Yeah, there we go. Just had to save it. Cool. All right, so basically what this does now is when it loads, it creates the instance of the timer, and it basically will run anything that you have inside here. So right here, any code that you have in here will get ran every single second over and over and over again until you either cancel it or until your plugin unloads. So speaking of that, what we need to do is when we register this, we want to tmr 1 second timer dot cancel. So there we go. And you know, if you want to be safe, you could do if tmr 1 second timer dot is canceled equals false, meaning it is not canceled already, then we can cancel it here. So for example, if you have something else in your code that decides, no, okay, we don't need that timer anymore, we're going to shut it off, then you don't want to cancel it again because it could cause issues depending on what the API does with something like that. But again, over our heads currently, so we're just trying to make a little baby chicken follow Donnie around. Okay, so now the fun part. Now we get to start messing around with our chicken. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our chicken and do some basic tests. So we're going to go in here and say if chicken, if I could spell, is not null, meaning that the chicken is currently valid, we're going to attempt to get Donnie. So we're going to do player, player equals bucket.getPlayer, and we're going to put RGA Minecraft. This is normally where we would put Donnie Bobes in here, but like I said, for testing purposes, we want to do it with someone we could test with. So what that does is the player equals bucket.getPlayer. It's saying the bucket server, I want you to get a player named RGA Minecraft. And that might not always work. So what we need to do is check if player is not equal to null. So basically, if it doesn't find that player, it's going to be null. And if you try to say, okay, well, is the chicken too far from that player? Well, technically, we shouldn't have a chicken if that player is not online, because we create it when they join and we remove it when they leave. But there could be some weird scenario where they're not online and it didn't despawn properly. So just to be safe, we want to make sure that the player is also valid. You know, we're making sure that the chicken's valid, so we're trying to make sure that the player is valid. So if they're not null, meaning they are online, that means we can do whatever we want inside of our code now. So what we can do is first check if player.get, I think get world, right? Yeah, get world.getName dot equals is dot equals ignore case chicken dot get world dot get name, and then we're gonna say equals false. And let me explain this a little bit. Basically it's saying if the player, they're in a world, we get the world name. If the player's world name is not equal to the chicken's world name, and I know it's kind of confusing because it says equals ignore case equals false. It's kind of like negative logic. I kind of hate doing stuff like that, but in Java it's a little easier to do it this way. Basically what we're saying is, does the player's world name equal the chicken's world name? And now normally if that's true, then we would want to do something, but right now we want to say, well, if they're not the same, we want to do something. And before I get into that, let me just kind of explain a little bit of what's going on here as well. I kind of forgot to touch on this, but inside here, basically, when we're setting our instance of our timer equal to this function, we're saying that, okay, well, here's my timer. I need you to activate my timer, pretty much. So what we're saying is, okay, like this timer 1 second is our timer, and now I need you to actually create the timer and start running it. So we go to this routine here, which is the perform 1 second timer actions, and it needs to return the actual timer. Like the hand is sitting there saying, I want a timer in this hand, give me a timer. So by using return, it's saying, okay, I'm going to return you a timer. And that's basically what this is doing here. So we're saying return bucket.getServer.getScheduler.run task timer. So this is creating a new runnable, a new task timer runnable, and basically what it's going to do is it's going to run every 20 ticks, and then it's going to, you know, run the code that's inside here. So basically, it's returning a new timer to that object and saying, okay, well, here's your timer. And then from that point on, everything inside of the run in here will actually be able to run every second. So sorry I didn't explain that earlier. It's kind of confusing. Once you do some more research on your own and mess around with it a little bit, you'll kind of see a little better how this thing works. So what we want to do now is we're checking to see, do their worlds match? And if they don't match, then clearly they're not in the same worlds. Like if Donnie was in the Nether and the chicken was in the Nether and then Donnie warps to the overworld, well, we need that chicken to warp to the overworld too. So if the world names are not the same, then we need to make them in the same world. So what we're going to do is chicken.teleport, nope, it's teleport. And we're going to teleport them to the player, the player object. So there we go. So what that's going to do is it's going to teleport them, the chicken, to the player if they are not in the same world. Now, if they are in the same world, so in the else case, so if the top part here, if they're not in the same world, teleport the chicken to that player. Now, in the else clause, it's saying they are in the same world, and when they are in the same world, we can measure the distance between the two objects. And what we can do to easily do that, we'll say if player dot get location dot distance, and then we're going to say chicken dot get location is less than, let's say if they're less than, let's just do 20 blocks, then we're going to want to do something, or else we're going to do something else. So if the location between the chicken and the player is less than 20 blocks, then all we want to do is chicken dot set target player. Now, setting them as a target should cause that animal or that creature to want to walk towards the player. So if they're less than 20 blocks away, it's going to say, okay, start walking towards the player. And you know, I don't know exactly what our server values are for max follow distance, so I'm just going to do, let's just do 15. Now, if they're more than 15 blocks, or if they're 15 or more blocks away, then what we're going to want to do is teleport the chicken to the player. So we're going to do chicken the same way we did before. And actually, anytime I do stuff like that, I like to just copy and paste because it just saves me a little bit of time. So chicken.teleport player. So basically what we're doing is every single second that passes in Minecraft, we're saying, okay, is the chicken in the same world as the player? If they are, great. Then we go down into the next scenario that says, okay, well, if they are, then is the chicken within 15 blocks of the player? If it is, great. Then set the target, the chicken's target, as that player, so it just starts walking up to him. If it's more than 15 blocks away, it's going to say, okay, I can't see the chicken anymore, so let's teleport the chicken to the player. And then from then on, as they're walking and stuff, they can, it'll start following them. Now, if the worlds are not the same, if it's in this world and the chicken's in the Nether, like way down here, then it's going to say, okay, well, teleport the chicken to the player. Now, this should be pretty much everything we need to get this plugin working. Now, there is one scenario that we haven't covered yet, and this is going to be a pretty interesting one. And this is basically what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a little trick on how to recreate the chicken if Donnie were to kill it. Basically, all we have to do is, if the chicken is not null and the player is not null, before we even check the chicken's location, what we want to do is put an if statement kind of wrapped around this whole thing. So I'm going to tab that over one and put a little curly bracket there. And we're going to say if chicken, oh god, and I have caps lock on, if chicken dot is valid, and I'll explain that here in a second, then we will do something, and if not, then we're going to do something else here. So is valid means that the chicken is not dead. It is, you know, basically for our purposes right now, is valid is basically meaning dead. So if Donnie were to give himself strength or super sharpness sword and kills the chicken, then technically the chicken would not be null, because the chicken's still there, like the chicken object is there, but it's dead, so there's no entity to follow around or anything. So that's what we're doing now, is checking, okay, is the chicken valid? Is it a valid entity still walking around in the world? And if it is, then we check the locations, and if not, we're going to call respawn chicken. Actually, we can just call it spawn chicken. I kind of like that one better. And we're going to pass in the player object to that. So right now you're saying this little red squiggly mark on there that's saying, I don't know what respawn chicken is. And we're going to create that. What we're going to do here is we're going to cut all this code here, the whole entire chicken creation, and we're going to put spawn chicken. And we're also going to put the O player object in there. So now both of those have the little red squiggly lines under spawn chicken. So what we need to do is we need to create the spawn chicken routine. So we're going to create a public static spawn, or public static void spawn chicken, and it's going to be passed in the player object, and we're going to call it O player in here as well, if capitalization would work. O player, and then so paste all the code in there. And there we go. So basically what we have now is we have a new routine that is called spawn chicken, and it is going to spawn a chicken at the player's location that spawned them in. And now technically if we want, instead of you know, saying Donnie's baby chicken, what we could actually do is get rid of the Donnie from it and put oplayer.getName plus. So now it'll say RGA Minecraft's baby chicken, or it'll say, you know, Apex Squid's baby chicken. Whoever the player is that it's being spawned on will be called their baby chicken. Now, the reason I cut everything out, and we could delete the deprecation from there, and we can put the deprecation on the spawn chicken down here. There we go, suppress warnings, deprecation. And the reason I did that was because if I didn't do that, then we would have the spawn chicken code up here. And I'll show you what this would look like real quick. Because obviously when the player logs in, we needed to spawn our chicken before. And this is all the code that spawns the chicken. But if we also wanted to respawn the chicken, if the chicken's not valid, then that means we'd have to have the same exact code down there. So now you'd have this there and this down there. Now the thing is, like, you know how we just removed the Donnie from it and then made it player names chicken instead of Donnie's chicken every time? If we change it there, then we'd have to remember to go back down here and change it there as well, because we've got the exact same code in two spots. So rather than doing that, I've created a function called spawn chicken that actually goes through. It's actually a routine. It's a routine that goes through and will spawn the chicken for that player. So now if we need to update anything, if we don't want it to be a baby anymore, then we could set adult. And rather than setting adult in two different spots, it's just easier to manage it all in one spot. And we just access it through the spawn chicken spot there. So that is why I do that. That's, you know, I've seen a lot of people's code who don't really understand that part of it, and they'll have the same exact thing like 10 different times in a row. And in fact, I do that myself sometimes when I'm in a hurry, just because sometimes it's easier to copy and paste rather than like redefine stuff like that. But it's not really the best practices. I mean, any code that you write that works technically works. And there's like no right or wrong about it. If it works, it works. I mean, I'm not going to get into that whole battle, but just realize if what you're writing works for what you need it to do, then that's great. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Oh man, if you want feedback, just go post it on like any internet forum, and then you'll get so much just unrelated coding advice from all the gurus out there. That's why I hate using forums and stuff, because so many times I'll be like, you know, hey guys, I'm having an issue with this. Anyone seen that before? And rather than helping me with the issues, they'll be like, oh, well, instead of calling this variable that, you probably should have named it this, or maybe you should have capitalized this letter instead. I'm like, shut up. I did not ask you for formatting advice for my code. I'm asking you why this part over here isn't working. But like I said, I'm not going to get into that. That's just a whole headache. I hate that whole mentality of a lot of developers in the world. It's whatever. We're done. We're done with that conversation. We're moving on. We're going to test our plugin now. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on tutorial, and we're going to do Maven install, and we're going to upload it to one of our servers. And let me just run it the second time. So for some reason, the first time you install it, it always fails. And actually it might fail here. Nope, it worked. There we go. We're good. So we've got the link to it here. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the tutorials the tutorial and upload it to the server, and then we will go on there. I'm gonna put it on Mega SMP, and we're gonna go on that server and see what it does. And I just realized we forgot to create our plugin file. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into Donny Egg, and we're gonna go into resources and open the plugin.yml. We're gonna copy everything from there, and we need to create our plugin file for this plugin. So we're gonna create a new, not a folder, create a new file. We're gonna call it plugin dot, and we're gonna open it inside of here, and we're gonna change Donny Egg to tutorial. And for commands, we're just gonna leave that in there for now as a placeholder for stuff that we're gonna handle later on with commands. We're not using any commands. You can delete that if you want. And actually, main is supposed to be main.main, because main is our package. So we probably could have named it something else instead of main, but you know what? Who cares? It's just it's for science, right, guys? All right. So now what we need to do is run as Maven install, and then we need to upload that to the server, and then go from there. Okay, guys, I'm on the server now. I'm on Mega SMP, and let's go ahead and see what happens when we /plugman load, and we're gonna load tutorial, and hopefully this will work. And look at that, tutorial has been loaded. Now you're probably wondering, well, RGA, where's your chicken? Isn't it supposed to load a chicken for you? And if you remember correctly, when we coded the plugin, we told it only create the chicken when I join the server. So what I need to do is I need to go back to /hub, and then go back into Mega SMP. And oh god, I don't know, how did I get in here? Oh man, I clicked a little too fast. And go back to Mega SMP, and hey, look at that. We've got RJ Minecraft's baby chicken. So now if I walk over here, it should start following me. We'll find out. If it doesn't, then we might have to change something in the code. But let's just, oh god, /fly almost jumped off the edge of there. And so right now, so you can see if we're getting more than 15 blocks away from the chicken, it is starting to teleport to us. And it is a chicken, so it won't fall to the ground and die a horrible death. If it was like any other animal, it could take a lot of damage from doing that. And if I go to /spawn, spawn is a different world than that world. So technically, you can see we should have the chicken here, but we don't have the chicken here. And I'm pretty sure I know why we don't have a chicken here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my home, /home, and we should see our chicken back now. And that's because the chicken is loaded in. And what we need to do is two things. We need to figure out why the chicken is not following us. Actually, is it following us? I think it might be. Nope, it was just walking on its own. Okay, so we have two problems. One problem is the chicken is not following us while we're within the non-teleport range. And we also have a problem where the chicken doesn't teleport us to spawn. And I will show you what I think is causing that, and I think that one's going to be easier than the non-following one. So what I'm going to do is go back, and when I log off the server, this chicken should hopefully disappear. We'll find out. We'll find out next time I log in, and we're going to /plugman, actually /plugman unload tutorial. If we do that, the chicken should go away. And there we go. So look at that. The chicken went away. Beautiful. All right, so back to the code. I'm pretty sure the reason that the chicken doesn't teleport to us when we're not in the same world is because that chunk is not loaded. And so the chicken is technically still valid, but it's not at the same time because it wasn't spawning a new chicken. So it was valid, but the chunk wasn't there. So it wasn't able to teleport it. So what we're going to do is if the chicken's not null, and the player is not null, and if the chicken is valid, then we're going to oChicken.get location .get, I think get block. I'm pretty sure .get block. I'm pretty sure get block. Let's see I'm pretty sure this should work. .get chunk. .load should work. So basically what we're doing is we're getting the location of the chicken, we're getting the block they're standing on, we're getting the chunk that block is in, and we're loading that chunk, and then we're going to try to teleport the chicken to see if that will work. Now, the reason I think it's not following the player is because technically players need to have seeds in their hands for the chickens to want to follow them. So I think what's happening is we're setting the target to that player, and it's saying, oh, they don't have seeds, I'm not going to follow you anymore. Now, I believe we should be able to use the entity target event. I'm pretty sure. And we're going to name that O event. And it's been a while since I've done this, but I want to say if O event dot get entity dot get unique ID dot equals O chicken dot get unique ID. What we want to do is if the entity that is targeting something is our chicken, so if the unique ID of the entity in this event is the unique ID of the chicken, meaning that the chicken is the one doing this, then we want to do O event dot set target O player, and up here we need to do player O player equals bucket dot get player, and we're going to pass in RJ Minecraft, and we're going to check first if O player is not equal to null and the unique ID is the chicken's ID, then we're going to set the target to the player. Also, let's just throw a quick check in here, and O event dot get target is null, and we're going to wrap this in little brackets here. So if the target is null, or meaning it's not going to be null, O event dot get target dot get unique ID dot equals O player dot get unique ID. So it sounds kind of confusing, and basically what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, if the player RJ Minecraft is not null and the entity changing targets, it's not really changing targets, it's targeting something. If the entity targeting something is the chicken that we spawned, and we should probably also say and O chicken is not equal to null, because that will throw tons of errors in console if we don't. So if the player's not null, the chicken's not null, the chicken is our chicken, and the target is null, or the target's unique ID is not our player's, and set it back to the player. Now, I'll try this and I'll see if this will work. I'm hoping it does. If not, then I'll have to get into some other stuff that I haven't touched in quite a while. I don't even know if I still have that source code. So we'll try running this, and we'll see if it at least fixes the teleport issue when I go to spawn, and then we'll see if it actually starts following me. So we're going to run this as install, and we're going to upload it to the server. Okay, so we are back on the server, and /plugman load tutorial and /hub, and we need to come back into Mega SMP, and we should have our chicken when we get back in there, hopefully. And there's RJ Minecraft's baby chicken. So we've got our chicken, and it doesn't appear to be targeting me, so that kind of sucks. So /iSeed1, let's just see if like the seeds will have any effect on it. So okay, so it is targeting me now. It was kind of looking at me while I had the seeds, so it should be following me, but maybe there's just something weird on this server. I'll have to look at this more. It should, since I'm its target, it should be following me, but it doesn't. Let's go ahead and turn back on fly and just see if this is working. So this is working, so our chicken is getting teleported to us, and let's go to spawn and see if it at least gets brought to spawn, and it is not getting brought to spawn. So there's probably something else going on. Let me just check the logs real quick to see if there's any weird errors in there. So I'm not exactly sure why the target event doesn't actually work. So what I'm going to do is try to fix the issue with... I tried moving the chunk load above the is valid, but it still wasn't fixing the issue. I'm not exactly sure why that's not working. I mean, it technically should, because the chicken's not null and the player is not null, so it should be valid because we told it not to unload itself when it's far away. I even tried moving that above it. It should have worked, but it didn't. So what I'm going to do instead is we're going to copy our event handler, and we're going to say on player teleport, and we're going to handle the
player teleport event, and we're gonna say if the player, if we don't have to check if it's null. So what we're gonna do is inside the if statement we're gonna put if event.getPlayer.getName.equals ignore case, and we're gonna put RJ Minecraft, and chicken is not equal to null. Then we're going to chicken.teleport event.get2. So what this is saying is when a player teleports, it's going to teleport the chicken wherever they're going to as well. So this should at least fix the issue with it not teleporting to us. As far as it not following us, that is probably another video all in itself, because that might be diving into NMS level stuff, and that's stuff that I don't even want to discuss with you guys right now, because it's stuff that I've only touched on so little. Because it's stuff that I've touched on so little, I don't even really know how best to explain it to you. Okay, so moment of truth. We've got our chicken here when I logged in, and technically on our teleport event, the chicken should teleport too. So let's go to spawn and see if the chicken teleported as well. The chicken did not teleport. Okay, so something is definitely going on with the teleport event as well, because as soon as we're teleporting, that chicken should be coming with us. There's no reason that chicken shouldn't be here. So /home, that's weird. Okay, so /RTP, and the chicken teleports with me here. So /home, and the chicken should be back here, which it is, and it's going a little crazy. Oh my god, maybe the targeting stuff is working. Oh god. Or it's having like a seizure or something. So RTP, what is it doing? You poor little chicken. Oh my god, we've broken our chicken. Well guys, now you know how to make a spazzing chicken in Minecraft. And honestly, this might even be a loop where it's like constantly setting me as the target, and it's just like confusing the poor guy or something. That would probably be my guess. We should probably go back to our code real quick and change that, because yeah, it's probably some weird thing in the target change thing, which is not even working anyway, so we're just gonna remove that for now. So let's leave the teleport stuff in there. I mean, the teleport is working. You see the chicken teleported there. I still don't get why, if it's not in the same world, it's not teleporting. I mean, that should be getting called right now. If the world.getName is not equal to the chicken's name, then it should be teleporting, but it's not. So yeah, there's definitely some weird stuff going on here. You know, it could just be that this server I'm on is pretty weird. I've never actually coded anything against paper, so maybe it's something weird with paper spigot, because this stuff used to work. I mean, it should. You see, as we teleport around here, it works, but that's just really weird. That's really weird. I don't understand it. I mean, as you can see, if I fly, the chicken will start coming to me. So I mean, basically, you guys kind of see how this is supposed to work. I don't want to waste any more time. If I ever figure out what is wrong with this, which I probably will when I start working on dungeons again, I'll let you guys know. But it should be working. There's no reason that this shouldn't work. And I'm at a loss right now. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for this plugin idea. I mean, at least now every time I log into Mega SMP, I'll have a baby chicken. And actually, I should probably get rid of that, because that would be... because that wouldn't be fair to everybody else. So we're gonna unload our plugin, say goodbye to the baby chicken, goodbye RJ Minecraft's baby chicken, and rip. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, let me know by hitting the like button. And if you want to see more coding tutorials like this one, hopefully they won't be as fail as this. I still can't believe they changed mobs that much, because it's the same code I used to use on the original dungeon server, and the mobs would follow you around fine. In fact, like, people used to complain all the time about how chickens were too OP and would just kill people. Yeah, oh god, that kind of sucks. But I had fun. I still had fun. I hope you guys had fun as well. If you want to see more videos, like I said, hit the like button. Let me know what you want to see. And I'm going to try to start streaming on Mega SMP more as well, because I know I have not touched this server in quite some time. But more importantly than that, guys, I need your suggestions on what I should code next. If there's something you want to see how I coded or how I would code it, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll choose yours for the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye, everybody. As always, dudes, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and possibly check out one of these other videos here. I think you really might like them. But I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everybody.